Hey, you guys, good morning. It's Miss Amanda. Hey, I wanted to go over some vocabulary words with you today, and then I'm going to read the story and we're going to go over a little grammar, okay? So, our first vocabulary word is citizenship. It says planting a tree in your community is an example of citizenship. What's another good example of citizenship? So, how about when you're outside and you see a piece of trash? Are you being a good citizen if you pick it up and put it in a trash can? I would say yes. A lot of you guys show good citizenship in school by helping other friends, or also if you find trash on the playground, you would pick it up and throw it away. The next word is continued. Justin continued to read his book all afternoon. What is the opposite of continued? What do you think about that? So the opposite of continued would be maybe to stop. I'm going to stop reading my book this afternoon. Daring. One brave penguin made a daring dive into the cold sea. And then you guys would tell me normally about something daring that you have seen or done. I have gone skydiving, so some people consider that daring. Horrified. Says Paul and his mother were horrified by the scary movie. What does it mean to feel horrified? So super scared, right? Terrified. Okay. Two awesome words. Your next one. Here, let me switch this. Sorry guys, I'm doing this by my phone. Hopefully I'm not making you motion sick. The next one is participate. Barb and her friends like to participate in sack races at the picnic. What are some games you like to participate? I know a lot of you like to do dodgeball when we would go outside and do dodgeball for PE. Jump rope, things like that. The next one is proposed. Mom proposed that they look online to find the answer to Tina's question. Tell about something you proposed to your family. So I can give you guys my example. I proposed to my children that they get less time on video games. We're going to do it in increments. Do some work, take a break, do some video games. Okay? They didn't like it, but oh well. Unfairness. The baseball player discussed the unfairness of the referee's call. What word means the opposite of unfairness? Fair, right? Waver. Ted's confidence started to waver when he forgot the answer. Says, show how you would look if you started to waver. I obviously cannot see you. All right, so there you go. There are your vocabs, okay? It says pick 3 words, then write 3 questions for your partner to answer. So you guys can pick 3 words and maybe see if you can have a sibling or your parent help you answer those questions. All right? Okay, hold on. Give me 1 sec. Sorry. All right. So one of our stories for this week is about Dolores Huerta. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologize. This is a biography, Growing Up Strong. Okay. The essential question on this story is, what do good citizens do? We already talked about what a citizen is, correct? Okay. Says Dolores Huerta, excuse me guys, you know how I am with my pronunciation, learned to help people by watching her mother. Good citizenship was important to her, and she taught Dolores that women can be strong leaders. When Dolores grew up, she had the same beliefs. Good citizens. Dolores was born April 10th, 1930. She lived in a small town in New Mexico until she was 3 years old. Then she moved to California with her mother and 2 brothers. Dolores grew up watching her mother participate in community organizations. Her mother believed that all people deserve to be treated fairly. We've talked about this before, about some other stories, right? Treat people fairly. There's no reason that they should not, and we treat people how we want to be treated. When Dolores was a young girl, her mother owned a hotel and a restaurant. Many farm workers who lived in their town were poor and hungry. They were paid very little for their hard work. Dolores's mother let them stay at her hotel and eat at her restaurant for free. This taught Dolores and her brothers that good citizens get involved in the community by helping their neighbors. Okay, this is a picture of Dolores helping the farm workers. Many hours in the fields. Very hard workers. Dolores goes to school. Dolores saw how hard life was for farm workers in California. She wanted everyone to be treated fairly. This attitude continued as she attended college and studied to become a teacher. Many of the students that Dolores taught were children of the farm workers. These students were often tired and hungry. They came to school barefoot because they had no shoes. Dolores knew she needed to help them. As a result, she went to her school's principal and proposed some good ideas. She tried to get free lunches and milk for the children. She tried to get them new clothes and shoes. Trying to help the children was a daring thing for Dolores to do. The other teachers did not agree with her ideas. Dolores risked a lot, but her beliefs did not waver. She decided to do something about the unfairness she saw. She wanted to find a better way to help farm workers and their families. So this is just a little timeline. Shows important dates in Dolores's life. So here Dolores is born, moved to California in 1933, worked as a teacher from 1953 to 1955. 1955, she met Cesar Chavez. 1962, Dolores and Cesar started National Farm Workers Association. And in 1975, she helped pass laws to protect farm workers. I think that's really fantastic. Okay. Dolores stands strong. Every day, Dolores saw people working in unusually unsafe and disagreeable conditions. She was horrified. Many farm workers had little money to feed their families. Dolores decided to do something. In 1955, Dolores met Cesar Chavez. He wanted to make life better for farm workers too. Dolores and Cesar organized the workers into a group called the National Farm Workers Association. This group protected the rights of the farm workers. It helped make big farms treat them better. As a result, working conditions on the farms improved. Growing up with a mother who cared about other people taught Dolores to be a good citizen. Her kind and brave acts helped farm workers and their families. Who is a good citizen? Dolores Huerta is. Okay, also down here, you guys, adding to the timeline. Excuse me, allergies. 1998, she earned a Human Rights Award from President Clinton. Okay? How did Dolores Huerta's actions make her a good citizen? And it says, what can you do to improve people's lives? Okay, I want you to think about that. But how did Dolores's actions make her a good citizen? Did she have to go out and help those farm workers? Did she have to try and help them and get them, more rights? No, she didn't. She did that out of the kindness of her heart and also having an awesome, awesome mother who, showed her how to do those things as well. Okay. Before I go on to the next story, let's do a little vocab, okay? Sorry, guys, I'm trying. It says, use the context clues in each sentence to help you decide which vocabulary word fits best in the blank. All right, here we go. Try not to make you sick with my terrible camera skill. Want to see me? All right. It says, Jeremy was in Mr. Hale's third grade class. This week, they were learning about the rights of citizens. Mr. Hale told the class that voting was a big part of what? We've talked about this. I've talked to you guys about voting when you turn 18 and how important that is. So is it citizenship, daring, participate, unfairness, continued, horrified, proposed, or waiver? I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds. Okay, it's your right. Remember, it's huge. It's even in there. Here's your key word. Okay, so citizenship. I'm trying to do this looking through my phone, so be patient, my loves. Citizenship. And then we're going to come up, we're going to cross it out. All right, next one. In the past, there were unjust rules that stopped some people from voting, said Mr. Hale. Jeremy was shocked. He was blank by the blank of these rules. What do you guys think? Remember we talked about this? We talked about this in a lot of stories, how certain races were not allowed to vote. Okay, so I'm going to say that would horrify me. So we're going to put horrified here. Oops. Let's go with green. Horrified, right? Okay, so let's cross that out. All right. And is it fair? Was it fair when people of different nationalities or people of different color could not vote? No, it was not. Okay, so let's put unfairness here. All right, beautiful. It says, how did they get the right to vote? Asked Jeremy. It was difficult, said Mr. Hale. They had to be brave and sometimes blank. What do you think? So, brave. What goes with brave? What do you think? I would say daring. You guys agree? I'm going to say daring. Okay. Let's see. We'll cross it off up here. Beautiful. Okay. When others tried to stop them, they did not pause or blank. So what is something, if others were trying to stop them, but you really, really believe in something that you want, okay, they're not going to waver. They will not waver. They wanted that and they deserved that. So they were not going to waver whether people were trying to stop them or not. Okay. They blank to fight for their rights. What do you think? We're down to continued, participate, or proposed. I'm going to say continued. Yes? Okay, let's come up here. We'll cross that one out. All right. They wanted to blank in the voting process. What did they want to do? If they wanted to vote, is it proposed in the voting process? No, it's participate, of course. It's like all of you guys like to participate at recess, right? Mr. Hale's words got Jeremy thinking. Later in the day, he blanked that the class write a play about people fighting for their right to vote. That's a great suggestion, Jeremy, said Mr. Hale. Well, we're down to one. Process of elimination will tell us it is proposed. Okay. Yes? All right, you guys, let's move on. We've got another story. Are you ready? Okay. This one is, let me just get the story by itself so I don't have all the, we'll do the workbook pages here shortly, okay? Thank you for being patient. I'm certain this is probably a little different than the way Miss Everhart does it, but since this is what I normally taught you in the classroom, I wanted to get back to it. I miss you guys, and I hope you are all doing well and being safe and healthy. Okay, hold on one sec. Okay, here we go. Elizabeth leads the way. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the right to vote. Okay, again, we're clearly talking about citizenship because what do good citizens do? Okay, read about how good citizen Elizabeth Cady Stanton fought for women's rights to vote. And if you guys remember, we talked about, again, a biography, excuse me. We talked about this a lot. Remember, we talked about how African Americans couldn't vote. Then they finally let the men vote, and then it was many years later before women got to vote. Okay? We've talked about that in class. All right. What would you do if someone told you you can't be what you want to be because you are a girl? What would you do if someone told you your vote doesn't count, your voice doesn't matter because you are a girl? Would you ask why? Would you talk back? Would you fight for your rights? Elizabeth did. All these things used to be true back when Elizabeth Cady was a girl. And all these things might still be true today if Elizabeth hadn't led the way. She was only 4 years old the first time she had heard someone, a woman, say, "Life is better for boys." The woman had come to visit Elizabeth's new baby sister. What a pity it is she's a girl. Excuse me. How could anyone look at a baby and feel sad? What could be wrong about being a girl? Absolutely nothing. She was 13 years old when her father, Judge Cady, told a woman whose husband had died that the farm she had spent her whole life working on would be taken from her. Without a husband, the law stated nothing belonged to her. Oh my goodness, you guys, aren't you glad that it's not like that now? We've come a long way as women and girls. Elizabeth was horrified by this unfairness. She said that the law should be cut out of every book. Judge Cady told her that wouldn't change anything. Preposterous! The law was still the law, and only men were allowed to change the laws. That's silliness. She decided right then and there that she could do anything any boy could do. She jumped over high hurdles on horseback. She rafted across a raging river. She won a prize for being the best in Greek studies. Her father was proud, but he worried about her strong-spirited, rule-breaking daughter. Ah, you should have been a boy. He knew how much easier her life would be, but Elizabeth wasn't interested in easy. At 16, since colleges would not let girls in, Elizabeth begged her father to send her to a girls' school to continue her learning. So while most young ladies were getting married, washing dishes, doing laundry, and having babies, Elizabeth was studying religion, math, science, French, and writing. Several years later, Elizabeth Cady met Henry Stanton. Excuse me. He was an abolitionist, speaking out against slavery. He understood how unfair it was for people to not have rights or power. He did not laugh when Elizabeth talked of freedom. He did not laugh when Elizabeth said all people should be able to live life the way they chose. He did not laugh when she told him she would add his name to her own, but she would not give up hers just to marry him. So Elizabeth Cady became Elizabeth Cady Stanton and had babies, cooked meals, washed dishes, mended clothes, and did laundry. She loved her babies, but she did not love cooking and dishes and mending and laundry. One day, her friend Lucrezia Mott invited her to lunch. Lucrezia had always shared Elizabeth's ideas about all the things women could do and would do, if only they had the right. The other women at lunch shared them too. Elizabeth got fired up. She proposed they hold a meeting. Okay, are they getting excited? Yeah, for sure. A meeting that would gather together lots and lots of women from all around to talk. But what would they talk about? There were so many things that they needed to set straight. Married people couldn't own property or even the money they worked to earn. Married women, Elizabeth had learned long ago that only men could change the laws because only men could vote. That was it. That was the one thing that could change everything. If women could vote, they could help change all kinds of laws. This idea was so shocking, so huge, so daring. Elizabeth's friends gasped out loud. If they were flabbergasted, what would other people think? Elizabeth did not waver. She knew voting was the only way to make a difference. Her battle cry for the right to vote rang out. Have it we must, use it we will. Even her Henry thought she had gone too far. But on July 19th, 1848, when Elizabeth arrived at the meeting place, she saw for herself that she hadn't. The small church in Seneca Falls, New York, was filled with hundreds of people. Elizabeth read aloud what she and a few of the women had written together. The Declaration of Rights and Sentiments challenge the idea from the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. When she finished, she looked into the faces of the crowd and waited. The room was silent, and the rumbling began. It grew louder and louder and louder as people argued whether or not women should be allowed to vote. Word of the meeting spread like wildfire. Newspapers across the country scolded Elizabeth for her boldness, but other women joined in her battle. The idea of women having the right to vote began to buzz in the ears of people from Maine to California. Elizabeth had tossed a stone in the water, and the ripples grew wider and wider and wider. Many said Elizabeth must be stopped, but she was unstoppable. She changed America forever. All right, we've had this talk. We've discussed this, as I stated earlier. Okay, so let's go back here. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. I'm really hoping I'm not making you motion sick. All right, so now we're going to go into our CRC pages, okay? Question mark question. So what color are we doing it in? My favorite. Elizabeth Cady and the right to vote, okay? How does the author use what Elizabeth says and does to help you understand her personality? How does he do that? What do you guys think? Hold on, let me see if I can set this up a little differently so you can see. There we go. Beautiful. Now my shadow's in the way, so I hope you can see. How does he use her personality? What do you guys think? Okay, so let's go back. We're going to go back in our text. Okay. And let's look. Remember the very, very first thing when she found out that someone had come to see her baby sister and they were like, oh, it's too bad she's a girl. And Elizabeth thought, what? Why is that too bad? Okay. And then I think what a lot of it was too, what really struck a nerve with her was the woman who came to see Elizabeth's father, Judge Cady, said, and her husband had died, has said that the farm she had spent her whole life working on would be taken from her. Without a husband, the law stated nothing belonged to her. And was she upset? Yeah, she was. Preposterous, she said. Elizabeth was horrified by this unfairness and said that that law should be cut out of every book. Okay? She decided right then and there she could do anything any boy could do. She jumped over high hurdles on horseback. She rafted across raging rivers. She won a prize for being the best in Greek studies. Okay? So again, let's come back. How does the author use what Elizabeth says and does to help you understand her personality? Okay? The author shows that Elizabeth was tough and could do anything a boy could do. She believed in, we're going to go over, okay, if we were at school and I had the whiteboard, we'd have much more room, okay? She believed in women's rights. Here we go. I'll move this over so you guys can see that too, okay? She believed in women's rights. Okay? Give you guys a couple of seconds. And then it says talk about and reread pages 436 and 437. So I'm going to get those out. So text evidence, okay? Turn to a partner and talk about what Elizabeth Cady Stanton says and does. Well, I just told you about that. right? She thought the whole thing was crazy. It was preposterous. She was offended and horrified at the unfairness. Okay, she proved to herself and everyone else that she could do anything that a boy or a man could do. Okay, cite text evidence. It says, what does Elizabeth say and do? Write evidence in the chart to tell how it helps you understand what she is like. Okay, so on this one, text evidence, Elizabeth was horrified by the unfairness. She said that the law should be out of every book. Okay, Elizabeth, she had a strong sense of justice and what was right and wrong. Yeah, for sure. She knew at a very, very young age what was right and wrong and what the unfairness was about what was going on with the men and women. Text evidence, she decided right then and there that she could do anything any boy could do. True, she was determined and she was brave. She knew if she continued with the way that she thought, that she would make huge, huge strides in the inequality between men and women. She jumped over high hurdles on horseback. She rafted across a raging river. So she's capable and strong. She was very capable. She knew that she could do anything a man or a boy could do. Okay. All right. And then you guys continue. I know I'm going a little fast, but you continue what you've got. Take a few minutes if you need to pause the video so that you can get those answers in there. Okay, it says, the author uses what Elizabeth says and does to help me understand. She's a very strong will. She knows what is just and what is not. And she is strong, brave, and determined. Absolutely. I want to see you guys use some of those vocabulary words. 100%. And of course, if we were in the classroom, we would have more discussion about this, and I would want to see your brain working, you using your own brain and seeing what you were coming up with. Okay, tip of the week. When I reread, I can think about how the author describes what a character says and does. I look for text evidence to answer the questions. Yes. Before we went on break, we talked all about text evidence, right? In my group and Miss Jessie's group, we really, really focused on that so that you guys could go back in your writing and figure out the text evidence to help you answer the questions. All right, fantastic, you guys. Give me a sec here. All right, question. Let me get it settled. How do you know that Elizabeth felt strongly about what she believed in? How do we know that? How do we know? Well, not only did she say it in her words, she said it in her actions as well, right? So Elizabeth showed and expressed how she felt and how unfair the laws against women were. Okay, that's what my brain used. You can use your brain. I love when you guys do because I like to see your own answers. Okay. Says talk about it and reread page 445. Talk with a partner about what Elizabeth thinks about the women's rights to vote. Well, let me find page 445. And if you paid any attention to the story, you will know. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Page 445. But on July 19th, 1848, when Elizabeth arrived at the meeting place, she saw for herself that she hadn't. The small church in Seneca Falls, New York, was filled with hundreds of people. Elizabeth read aloud what she and a few of the women had written together. Okay? Now we're going to talk about the text evidence. What words help you understand how strong Elizabeth's feelings are? So, text evidence, she did not waver, right? She didn't waver. She knew what she believed in and she stood her ground. So that's another way to say not wavering. So she was not going to stop fighting for women's rights. No, she wasn't. She was very adamant about that at a very young age. Okay. Text evidence, she wrote a battle cry. Elizabeth was going to fight for the right to vote for women. Very, very strong woman. I love this. I think that's fantastic. What a great story. I don't know if it's easier this way now. All right. Nope, sure is not. Okay. When I know that Elizabeth felt strongly about her beliefs, because the author told you, says that she did not waver in her fight. She even wrote a battle cry for the women's right to vote. Okay, battle cry, or wrote a speech saying how unjust and unfair that was. Okay, you should have both of those up, so hopefully you can see them. Again, if you need to pause the video so you can get it written down, please do so. Okay, we're going to move on. All right, let me see. How does the author help you understand how Elizabeth's ideas changed America? Well, how did it change America? Women got to vote, right? She started that ball rolling. Okay, so Elizabeth changed America by not wavering, okay, in her beliefs. Sorry. And got the ball rolling. Oops, you guys already know my printing is terrible. Got the ball rolling for women to vote. We're going to put an exclamation point there. Here we go. Okay. There's that. I'm going to grab page 449. It says, talk about it. Reread page 449. Talk with a partner about what the author says about Elizabeth. So I'm going to find page 449 real quick. Elizabeth had tossed a stone in the water, and the ripples grew wider and wider. Many said Elizabeth must be stopped, but she was unstoppable. She changed America forever. So what do you guys think? The rippling, right?